associate at Science to Business Marketing Research Center of Fachhochschule Münster in Germany, and is a partner of the Unlock project. We will have 4 presentations in this track, which means, again, in our previous track, each presenter will have 15 minutes of presentation time plus 5 minutes question and answer. And since we are very tight in time and we don't want to run over to anyone's presentation time, I will be giving you reminders every last 5 minutes and every last 1 minute of your presentation. I'm really sorry that I will have to interrupt you for that. So if anybody have any questions, if you don't have any questions, then I will start with introducing our first presenter, Dr. Elizabeth Conradi, with her presentation on compulsory real-world problem-solving assignment to teach innovation at a higher education institution in South Africa. And Dr. Conradi is with us. And before I give the word to her, I will quickly introduce her to you, like little bio. Dr. Conradi is the manager of the Idea Generator Unit at the Central University of Technology, Free State, South Africa. She is currently working in the field of entrepreneurship and innovation, and she obtained her PhD in molecular biology from University of Stellenbosch. Welcome again, Dr. Conradi. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Perhaps just tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, and I'll just go to presentation mode. Let me just see. There it is. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. This is a real privilege to be part of the Unlock team, looking at solutions, how to incorporate entrepreneurship higher education institutions. We started off at the Central University with a compulsory real-world problem-solving assignment to teach innovation at a higher education institution in the University of Technology. I just want to see how can I move on. It seems that it's frozen, so I'll just maybe have to do the other version. Do you mind if I do this one?
Oh, no, it's all right.
Okay, it seems like it doesn't want to move in the full. Okay, the breaking news is that it was successful. Innovation on demand is achievable when students innovate within the boundaries of a relatable real-world problem for a primary academic reward and a secondary monetary reward. Now, how this what happened in the past? We started in 2019, actually 18, until this year, every year, with a this innovation assignment for mathematics students. It was non-compulsory in 2020, 2021, and we had no entries that delivered innovation. However, when it was made compulsory, it delivered in this year over 100 ideas. It was found that these students comply to innovations if it's made compulsory for course mark definition and has a reward component and is given the necessary structure and boundaries of which allow a fine balance between free thinking and a focused output. Now, why implement this at CUT? The Engineering Council of South Africa requires engineering students to accumulate a number of graduate attributes for which problem solving and thus innovative thinking is one. Why mathematics curriculum? Extending the compulsory problem solving in subject mathematics to solving a real world X not only prepares the students for the formal graduate attributes innovation and engineering projects required at exit level, but also equips students with useful skills to enhance self-employability. And that's exactly what the IGEM is actually focused on. It was launched in 2017 to promote entrepreneurship as a career option. And reaching out to the innovation champion of the Department of Mathematics, and I hope she's here, I couldn't quickly check, is Dr. Michelle Erasmus, and this was a collaborative effort to forge such an annual competition to add an additional incentive for students to partake in this innovative focus. How did the ecosystem at the university actually encourage this? The DVC for Research, Innovation and Engagement at CUT identify innovation champions. These champions, like Michelle, had to attend training entrepreneurship education and was tasked to see ways to promote an interest among students in innovation and entrepreneurship. We try to collaborate with external partners by appointing people from the industry as well as government, and specifically the trade and industry agency connections to prove to be worthwhile of investing and taking time to get them involved in this project. So what did we do? The topic was aligned in 2019 to problems relevant in South Africa, such as water and electricity saving. However, this year, the students had to improve or re-innovate an existing product and thereby solving a real world problem. And it was very popular. Therefore, the more than 100 entries to this challenge. So the process was 3 weeks to innovate for students. Then they had to consult with the mathematic lecturer, that's Ms. Michelle Erasmus, regarding logic, usability, uniqueness, and the comparison to other products already on the market. Then they had to attend an information session at the IGEM of all the opportunities on campus regarding innovations and technology stations like the fabrication lab available to students. Then they were given another 2 weeks to improve their innovation and to populate a 5-pager PowerPoint presentation. And the presentation had to include the proposed product, milestone, estimates, cost, and then a comparison with the products as well. So just quickly, the TIA tables that was asked for the students to present on was they had to look at milestones, the decision criteria, therefore, the deliverables for these milestones and the activities for the milestones. Then they had to look at the duration thereof, start and end date, the deliverables, the timeline, and then the deliverables. They had to identify a team and then estimate the costs. So the assignments were graded on the academic management, not innovation, therefore, according to the criteria stipulated by the lecturer and the IGEM. Secondly, the innovations with potential were selected and then forward to a follow-up competition with money in pocket incentive, non-academic, as well as the opportunity to further their ideas. So there's the results of this year. And then a picture of all the participants that was in the final group. There's some of the ideas that was presented. Trolley 63, a leak-proof taps, reusable, disposable female urine collector holder, among others. So for assignment grades to be released, students had to partake in a compulsory survey post-innovation experience, and 176 students took part in that in this year. So the questions were, did you experience the same thinking process involved in the solving of a mathematical problem taking part in this? Second question is, there was an overwhelming yes. Benefits to the student is, what have you learned from this assignment, and is this problem solving your superpower? Thirdly, inspired innovative thinking. Will you be open to innovation in future now that you have a first-hand experience in all the thinking processes? A fourth question, what should be different? Innovation was made compulsory and hands-on as opposed to theoretical. Do you think you have gained the same experience in any other way? Did this assignment inspire an interest in innovation? Would you like to pursue a business venture in future? Please list the courses that you're interested in. So this part I think is very interesting, as the feedback of some of the students. I'm going to read through it very quickly. We had to start by evaluating the problem and gather information so that we can identify solutions and select the best one. So the process was something that the students experienced in a positive way. I was able to determine the problem, review what has been already done, then wrote the steps on how to solve the problem, logic thinking. I've learned that I should give myself time to solve problems or real world problems. I can actually do it. I've seen that I'm capable and I'm innovative, creating a very positive feedback there. I've learned that I tend to be a lazy thinker. At first, the internet was the source of the students' ideas. And then he said, or she said, that rather looking into my own life and own life experience, I was able to actually come up with good ideas. My goal is someday to own my own business. And one of the things that helps a business to stand out and become well-known and successful is having a unique product. So good results from this assignment. I will be delighted to be one of the great problem solvers in the country. I hope this student will solve all South Africa's problems. It's made compulsory, made me realize that I actually have potential and have tons and tons of ideas. At first, I did not know what is meant by the word innovation, but because of this assignment now, I've learned that I have the capability to solve complex problems. I think that's a very positive feedback. I like the fact that we were given freedom to reinvent any product. I learned a lot from this, more than in any other way, and I discovered that anything in the word can always be improved. And this is the reason why we'll probably have the same problem statement next year. So 77% yes vote for the questions relating assignment to subject content indicates that innovation assignments was quite at home in the mathematics curriculum. 63 vote when the students were asked if they benefit from the experience confirmed the standards can innovate on demand. The overwhelming 80% vote for innovation in future is an indication that the assignment reached its intended goal. From the students' comment in the survey, the assignment did not only add credit to mathematics as a problem-solving environment that can be extended to the real world, but it also added value to the development of the students of class 2022. So lessons learned. Students' feedback in 2080 was fairly negative. What must be innovate? What can I win? And it was a free choice, and a winning is a product furtherment was the answers to those questions. So then it was changed with the compulsory assignment in 2019. With this compulsory assignment, the student lecture contact revealed that the students required guidance in word choices in web searches, estimating the cost of material, language use, and overall PowerPoint management. So 2019's compulsory visitation of technology stations, PowerPoint and presentation skills support was made available, as well as a cash in pocket system that was put in place by the iJump. So 5 of the students won 1,000 Rand each that they could actually spend in whichever way they like, whereas all the other challenges hosted by the iJump, of which there are several, that money needs to be used by the students to further their project. So what is next? In 2023, we would like to invent and improving an existing real problem again for the students, because that allows a fine balance between free thinking and a focused output. The students requested training in computer-aided design, how to operate a 3D printer that's available at our fabrication lab, as well as workshops in marketing. That was 35% of the students. We also discovered that lacking in assignments was finance information, so we will focus on capital and operational costs pre-assignment.
Last 5 minutes, Elizabeth.
The divert innovation selected to other innovation competitions. For instance, it should be 2022 mathematics student winners actually won a mentorship last week by taking part in our social enterprise program that was kicked off this year. And that will definitely take that idea probably to a business, to an enterprise. I think it's very important that the innovation champion lecturers also are supported by the OGIM with assessment for both academic and for innovation furtherment. I'd just like to stop myself. Sorry about that. Okay, and now the key for the success for assignment-based innovation projects are students respond very well to compulsory innovation when they are confronted with an innovation addressing a real-world problem. And if they are rewarded, not only with their assignment marks, but as well as a tangible incentive like the money in pocket that they can use for their own, however they want to spend it. The innovation gives free choice within boundaries. It's very important that not only the assignment itself, but the guidelines and the consultations really serve as an educational tool. Many students came back afterwards and comment on that. Including innovation assignment syllabus stretches paper solving to real world problem solving. So future challenge, pre-assignment training will be implemented for those mentioned based on the survey data, like marketing, finance, and practical training sessions. Then pre-assignment ideations will be added for the agriculture students that will kick off. They already did the finance sessions this year. Data survey will be aligned to the specific study fields. If it's agriculture, we'll have to adapt that to gain further information regarding their field. And we will also do a pre-assignment survey to evaluate the mind shift when compared to the post-assignment survey. And we hope with this interaction to make some connections and employ some of you as adjudicators at our future competitions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Conradi, or should I address you, Elizabeth?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you very much for this inspiring presentation that you shared with us, that also inspired your students and even caused a mindset change. I think this is from my perspective, the biggest impact seems like of your course, which I think the real impact of the products that were produced will be seen maybe in the coming years. So I would like to open the floor to questions. Do any of our participants have any questions for Elizabeth for their challenge-based learning course in her institution? Okay, maybe I will address my question. So I understand that your university is more oriented towards engineering studies.
Not only engineering, it's about 52% engineering students. Then we have a faculty of health and environmental sciences. Agriculture is part of that. Then we also have humanities that include education and art and design. And then we also have a big component that's the management sciences, the business faculty.
And to what extent, so when you think of the diversity of your students, to what extent there was a mix of these different faculty study programs?
I would say that during our challenges, we do get from all the faculties participants. So it's a good mix from all of them. Management science students, very good in taking part of these things, but also art and design students. We also did an assignment-based challenge for them. Excellent ideas as well.
Yes, it is. I'm asking because it's not so very common, or it is not expected that in every university that such courses are getting attention of students from different departments, and sometimes you see that the different faculties are working in silos and much disconnected, and such projects are sometimes more clustered in certain departments, maybe with the push of very passionate professors. But in your case, I understand that the case is different, and yeah, I'm really happy to know about that. So do we have any other questions from our group? Okay, if not, then I would like to thank Elizabeth again, and we will move on to our next presenter. But if you have any questions afterwards, if you think of any, please use our chat function and yeah, get engaged with our presenter and also other presenters as well. So we will continue with the presentation. Alpine Smart Working, Your Office in the Mountains by Alessandra Scrocaro. Alessandra, maybe you can help me.
That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you. So before I give the floor, just a short bio about Alessandra. Alessandra is a postdoc research fellow at the Department of Economics and Management at the University of Trento. She's a social geographer, passionate about entrepreneurship education, soft skills, innovative teaching models, including challenge-based learning and social innovation. Welcome again, Alessandra, and now we are all ears.
Okay, thank you for the very warm introduction. So let me share my screen. Just tell me if you can see the first slides of my presentation.
We are able to see it in the slide mode, and
okay,
now
perfect.
It is working. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you again. Hello, everyone. I'm Alessandra Scrocaro, and today I'm going to present you challenge Alpine Smart Working. But first of all, before presenting this case study about challenge-based learning, I would like just to show you where we are. We are the University of Trento, and Trento is located in the northeast of Italy. It's a mountain area, and it's an autonomous region, and is in the heart of the Alps. So we are in the middle of Dolomites, and it's a very beautiful place where to live and to study. And it's here that I'm going to present this, let's say, this initiative. So Alpine Smart Working Challenge is a challenge in the ECIU context. ECIU is the European Consortium of Innovative Universities, and this consortium is composed by 13 European universities plus an associate university from Mexico, Tec de Monterrey especially. And here I can see in this chat, in this track, present Charlotte Norman from Linköping University, which is partner of ECIU, and also Nicolas Dietrich, that is from INSA Toulouse, that is another partner of this consortium. So I'm very happy that other partners of this consortium are present here. So about Alpine Smart Working Challenge, this is a challenge organized by the University of Trento, but in the context of the ECIU, the consortium. Why I want to highlight this point? Because for that challenge, we received applications from all the universities of this consortium. So finally, we had 15 students, and inside of this 15 students group, we had also 5 students from other partners universities. So we had, for example, 1 student from Aveiro, 2 from Barcelona, and 2 from Stavanger University. So the challenge, the aim, the scope of the challenge was to promote smart working in the peripheral territory in mountain areas. Why? Because mountain areas, and in particular valleys, peripheral valleys, are in, let's say, they are abandoning by the residents, and these areas need to be, let's say, put in value. So students had to work on the promotion of these peripheral territories through the smart working. So here you can see the main question students had to answer. So how to stick to stakeholders' needs, such as, for example, residents, so, for example, local employees from the private and also public companies, freelancers and students, and also non-residents, because tourists and digital nomads can, for sure, stay in a place like this valley for the vacation, but also they can stay for a period for smart working. We had three main, let's say, challenge providers, because in Italy, or let's say at the University of Trento, challenges are provided by the so-called challenge providers. So challenge providers can be companies, but also the public institutions such as the municipalities. But in this case, you can see three organizations that are Impact Hub, Trentino Social Tank, and Cooperazione Trentina. These three organizations are together. They work together on this big project that which aims is to create smart working in peripheral territories. Okay, so the challenge had three main phases. The first one was the engagement phase. So students started from the big idea, and the big idea was to stop the abandonment of peripheral territories, and they define the problems to be solved and ask themselves the right question in order to refine the final challenge. And then they moved on to the second phase, that was the investigation phase. So they had to collect some information, some data through, for example, interviews, surveys, field works, etc. And then they moved to a third phase, that is the action phase, in which they had to design and prototype a solution. Okay, I will present briefly the timeline of this challenge. So we had a 1 month challenge. The kickoff was online, also because we had the international students, as I told you before, from the consortium. And then we had some mentorships and some meetings online in order to help students to focus on the challenge, and in order to give them also some feedbacks on their teamwork. And then let's move on quickly to the other part. They had to focus to the problems definition, to the problems validation. So the first part was, as I told you before, online, entirely online, and the aim was to focus, don't focus to the solution, don't jump to the conclusion now, because we had 2 days hackathon in presence in that time in Trento. So we welcome all the international students in Trento, and we moved to the valleys that I show you in the first slide, Val di Sole, and we had these 2 days of hackathon. Okay, the hackathon activities were the following. So we had a mixture of plenary session on, for example, how to provide the right feedback to the teammate, how to generate ideas and solutions, and also how to pitch. So they had the chance, the opportunity to develop their communication skills. And then they had the times, of course, for their teamwork. And during their teamwork, they received help from mentors and also from the challenge providers, which were present during the hackathon. And they had also a midterm meeting with the challenge provider. In this midterm meeting, they had to present at least 2 or 3 different solutions. So the challenge provider could give some feedback and chose one solution. And the chosen solution had to be refined in the rest of the hackathon. They had also the opportunity to have a cross mentorship with the students from another challenge. This was like a test for us, because we wanted to match different students and see if each team could receive new insights or inputs and develop better solution. And then, of course, we provided them some games and some soft skills activities, such as escape room, cooperative games, team building activities. Also, I did some yoga for relaxation and so on. And then there was also the opportunity to do some outdoor activities, because we were in a very beautiful place in which we could do rafting, hiking, trekking, and bicycling. Of course, we were not. I was not alone to do that. We were a bunch of people. So we had a group of mentors, me and 2 colleagues from the University of Stavanger, and also some colleagues from Unitrento, the challenge providers present during the hackathon, and some co-workers, because I forgot to tell you that the hackathon was in a co-working space. So students could visit the co-working space and meet with co-workers, having chat with them, interviewing them, and so on. We promoted this challenge through our websites and newsletter, and also we promoted through ECIU website and newsletters too. What about the selection and team formation? So students had to apply in our website and also in the ECIU website. And they had to, let's say, fill in the application form and include a motivation letter. Okay, the team formation. So I formed the team in order to have very diverse teams. So teams were really interdisciplinary, interculturally, and diverse in terms of gender, nations, and nationalities and backgrounds. And as I told you before, I had 15 students, including the 5 students from ECIU, and the backgrounds were very, very different. So we had the students from management, economics and management, informatics and IT, data science, engineers, students, psychologists, students from humanities and languages.
Last 5 minutes, Alessandra,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. Tools that we used during the challenge were different. We had some Drive, and we used, of course, Google Suite. We had also WhatsApp group with students and staff. And then for the 3 phase I mentioned before, we used different tools, such as ice-breaking activities and team building games during the engage phase, information and data collection, mentorship tools, and impact gap analysis for the investigate phase. And then for the 2 days hackathon, the act phase, we had system thinking, fish techniques, and well, other tools in order to develop the solution and generate ideas. For the assessment part, I have to say that the challenge was an extracurricular initiative, so we didn't give any grades to students, only credits, 2 credits. And for the assessment part, we used the self-directed learning approach. In particular, we used the learning contract, an initial learning contract, individual learning contract, with the 3 learning goals. The first one goal was the capacity to work in a multidisciplinary team. The second goal was to improve the communication skills, oral and written communication skills. And the third one, we gave the opportunity to students to choose their personal learning goal from the entrepreneurial competencies flower, that is an instrument given by the European Commission. And then each student had to, let's say, fill in a final reflection report. And the reflection report we gave them was from Gibbs reflective cycle. Challenges results. So we had 4 solutions because I forgot to say that we had 4 teams with 4 or 5 components each team. So we had 4 solutions, 1 winner team, and we received a very enthusiastic feedback from students and from challenge providers. For mentors, it was really a great opportunity to exchange practices. And for me as a teacher or team chair, because in ECIU we call teacher team chair in the sense that we are teacher, but also we facilitate the teams. For me, it was a very intense experience and a very instructive experience. And the last slide is the impact measurement, because it's very hard to measure the impact of challenge-based learning, at least for me. But in that case, I would say that for the impact measurement, I used post-challenge interviews with challenge providers, and also I did a focus group with the winner team in order to collect some feedback from them. And then I wrote a final report, and that is the basis for a paper. And for students, there was a very interesting experience, because after the challenge, the challenge providers offered 3 internship positions in project management, marketing, and hosting. So this was, for us at least, a very good results. I'm looking forward from hearing your questions. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for another great presentation. Again, very inspirational and lots of learning points. And I see you have a very well-structured program from receiving of the applications and organization of the teams and implementation process, the methods that you have used, including the short-term impacts. I think there's lots of learning points for everyone here. So I want to open space for questions. Otherwise, I will start with my own question. Yes, some comments in the chat. No questions, I think. All right. Alessandro, I'm curious about the impact dimension of your project. To what extent these solutions that are proposed by the students are taken up by the challenge providers? Were there any indication?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I forgot to mention in my slide that challenge providers selected the best solution, the winner solution, and they are currently they are trying to implementing part of the solution. And yeah, and we as a team and also students were really satisfied that, about the fact that the challenge didn't finish with the final pitch, but we have a follow-up of the at least at the winning project. So the winner team presented a solution, let's say a package for companies. Companies can have the opportunity to offer their employee a holiday, plus the opportunity that they can stay in this valley for a workation. This was the name. So a period of work plus vacation. So, for example, the employee can stay for 2 days, 2 weeks of holidays, and then they can stay in this valley for other 2 weeks to for this workation period, so they can stay there, enjoy the place, doing lots of outdoor activities. In the same time, they have a well-connected office with all the comfort, because there is a high-speed connection, Wi-Fi, and all the furniture, office furniture, so they can work and stay there 1 month. So this was the best solution that won the competition, the challenge.
Yes. Yeah, that's really interesting. And okay, I see Nicolas has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Alessandra, for your very nice talk. It was really interesting, and I think one of the best examples I ever seen of a challenge in ECIU. So congratulations for this really nice experiment. I have just one question. Do you recommend to the Teamshare to organize activities for the students, or do you recommend to let the students organize themselves? Because we want to make the students free to decide what they want to do, but I just want to know, what do you think about that? Do you think it's better to organize for them or to let them organizing?
Thank you, Nicola, for the question. Really interesting. Well, I think that in the case of challenge-based learning, I don't know if students are really autonomous and independent to organize themselves if it's their first experience. In my case, I had some students who did many times challenges in ECIU, so they were really experienced on that methodology, and they were really extremely autonomous. They knew exactly what they had to do. But I had also let's say the majority of students I had, they had no experience at all with challenges, so they needed our support. That's why I preferred to structure very well the experience. But even if it was a very structured experience, students could organize themselves, and I created teams in order to have also experienced students with less experienced students. So they helped each other, they collaborated each other.
Yeah.
Thank you, and congratulations again for the nice talk.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. And please, for any follow-up questions, reach out to Alessandra through our chat. Thank you very much, Alessandra, for your presentation. And with that, I would like to wrap up this part of our session and move to our next talk by Charlotte Norman. She is with us, and she'll be talking about innovative entrepreneurship, challenge-based learning master's course. Hello and welcome, Charlotte. I think you are still on mute.
Yes, I have unmuted myself here.
Okay.
I hope that you can hear me now.
Yes.
So, can you also see my slides?
In slide mode, yes.
Yeah, I tried to remove them, then everything went dark for a couple of seconds
yeah.
while the computer works. So, can you see it?
This is your this is a called note note version.
Okay. I think it's
That might be
it's always
way.
problematic with the slideshow,
Mm.
so I try to share it in another way instead. I try to do it like this. Can you see this?
Yes,
Yes,
you do.
just
I think
until-
I do, at least.
It comes here soon.
Better.
So, does it look good?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, then I start. My name is Charlotte Norman, and I created this together with my colleague Jan Axelsson. And I start to present myself. I'm a senior associate professor now in Linköping in entrepreneurship. I teach entrepreneurship and innovation, and I also research early stage ventures and public policy towards those and so on. And my co-author, Jan, would you like to say a couple of words?
Very brief. I'm involved in ECAU University also, very much so, and I have a position as the Director of Collaboration, Innovation, Valorization, or whatever you want to call it, actually, at the university. And I'm very engaged in the challenge-based learning concept.
Yes, and we did this together also. We collaborate also in the BoogieU project as Alessandra and Nicolas and so on. And both of us are also engaged within the ECIU. So with this said, I want to present the course. The name is TEO06 Innovative Entrepreneurship. It's 6 credits, and it's given at the Industrial Engineering Master and as an electable course also at the ECIU. And the number of students is ranging between 80 and 100. Last year, though, we had 130. So, but this year it seems to be around 80, but you never know. So that's a challenge in itself, actually. It's as I said, a master's course in entrepreneurship where they learn about entrepreneurship by experiencing entrepreneurship. And we use CBL, and we use CBL because, as Einstein says, we cannot solve all problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And I've written a little bit about CBL together with my colleagues, and we had 2 papers at the CDIO conference this summer. One was about how to make good teachers great in CBL, and the other one was about how to make good challenges great. And in one of those, we defined the CBL our way, and to us, it's an experiential learning approach that starts out with weekend, open, and sustainability-related real-life challenges that students in cross-disciplinary team take on their own way and develop into innovative and creative solutions, which are presented in open forums. And this definition builds upon a literature review where we went through a bunch of definitions on this because we thought this concept is rather blurred and described in many different ways. So we wanted to find a definition of this. Also in a program course, it could be complicated to create this sort of cross-disciplinarity. But I think since this course also is electable by a bunch of master's program at the civil engineering programs, there is at least some kind of diversity. We have other courses also where we recruit students from all faculties. So there we have a much bigger diversity, but in this case, it's just engineering students. What meets the students when they enter a course like this, and they meet also with the CBL approach, is that they realize that they are within the VUCA world. And I don't know if you have seen this paper from Bennett and Lemoyne from 2014, where they describe this VUCA concept that stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And this is actually what they meet and what they have to deal with. And I also think that since this is, according to NASA at least, the new paradigm that we are entering, I think it's very important to give the students tools to actually roam around in this VUCA world, so that they sort of learn to bear with it. And it could be sometimes really challenging for them, this fact where we have no answers, there are just lots of questions. The course, they use challenge-based learning, and this slide Alessandra has already taken, so I will go briefly through it. But we use the same challenge-based learning wheel with the 3 phases of engaged, investigate, and act. And in this course, we have some big events that sort of gives the bearing line of activities in the course where all other things are structured around. So the day after the first lecture, they are thrown into something that we have mentioned, the Idea Jam. And this is an event that lasts for 4 hours, and it starts after lunch, and also will do in March next time when it will be given. And there they will gather in one room. Last year we were downtown in a company hotel where they also have conference facilities. And this year probably the region will help us with a locality that is in an open area somewhere. And first we have brief pitches. So external challenge providers, they come there and pitch their briefs, their challenges. And then we post all the challenges on the walls, and students individually have to go there and choose a challenge. And if they are 5, they can form a group. If they are 10, they can form 2 groups. And if they are more than 3 groups, they realize that there is a lot of people who want to have this challenge, so they can also change to take a challenge where there is not so crowded. So it's walking around and choose and pick so that they can find an idea or a challenge which they are interested in. Then the groups are formed and they have a couple of hours for ideation, where they discuss how they should sort of tackle this. And it's not only that the challenges are presented, they are also a 1-pager written information about the challenge, following the same format and so on. So they have to decide what to do. And then last half an hour, we have take pitches, 30-second pitches from the student groups. This is how we are going to take on this challenge. And when they leave the seminar, they have at least an idea of how to spend the rest of the course. Then this is also an advanced entrepreneurship course, so they need to do some theory. So they make a literature review about entrepreneurship and innovation to get familiar with the concepts from a theoretical point of view. So, and they also need to learn a little bit about academic writing, because it's master thesis time after this course. So they do that, and this is something running aside of the rest of the activities, but I think I have to mention it. Then after a couple of weeks, it's sheet prototyping. So then they have to sort of conceptualize and build their idea. And then it's when I'm the real trash lady at the university, I go and dig in all the trash bins, especially the one at the IT department, because they have a lot of packing materials and dead computers and lots of funny stuff. And we have a lot of Craftworks material, and they have this to create their visualize a 3D model of their idea, and that starts to be very funny. We also have we also have value creation forum where they present their ideas, and we use hats to comment upon the ideas. So if the idea generation phase is open, then they enter sort of the idea qualification phase. And then in the end, there is a final presentation. and it's an open event with invited guests also. Findings that we have made is that for the student, there is a lot of freedom and ambiguity. There is teamwork and there is time management. They have to decide how to run stuff. When we talk with the collaboration with the academic and trade and industry, lots of new insights, perspectives and ideas are given. And also the external people see this as a way to recruit new personnel, etc. So they like it. However, it's very important that you have the right approach when you talk to challenge providers. So alignment of expectations, for example, is very important. So we write the challenges in dialogue with them, etc. Also, as Alessandra mentioned, the role of teacher is different. We call it teamshare. And it's actually 3 roles. So it's the teacher, which is knowledge-oriented, it's the coach, which is skill-oriented, and it's the organizer, which is challenge-oriented. And these roles could be held either by a team or by one person that can do all 3 of these. And I think it's very important, and also if you follow research in this area, that we can combine the traditional teacher role with the coach and the organizer, and also get in the expert in practice, which in most cases is the challenge provider. So that's my presentation. And if you want to get in contact with me and Jan, you have our email addresses here. Did I keep the time?
You are early.
Am I early? Okay, then we have, maybe you have questions, so I can
Yes.
go back and elaborate on things.
Mhm. Yes, thank you, Charlotte and Jan, also for preparing, designing this course. And I see there are lots of overlaps with the Alessandra's model. I mean, of course, part of it is because you are part of the same university consortium. Before
we also collaborate a lot, in fact. So
you do?
Yeah,
that's very nice. So I want to turn to our community here. Do you have any questions for Charlotte?
I just wanted to say thank you for your presentation. As the new term, teamshare is really fantastic. I'm going to use that. Of course, I will tell you that's not my term. I'm going to quote you, but the term is really nice. This should be included in our dictionaries.
teamshare is not our own idea. It's an ICIU thing, actually. But what we did here, we created a definition because teamshare was something mentioned, and nobody know exactly what to incorporate. Jan, you maybe know the story about teamshare, how it came up.
Yeah, I actually do, and it's actually Toyota.
Oh.
When we had workshops before we submitted our applications for the European University Initiative, we had a big workshop with industry and other partners around us on an international scale, and it was actually a guy from Toyota that came up with the idea of, isn't that a teamshare then, kind of? And we explained what we wanted to do. So it's nice. It's actually Toyota, a guy from Toyota that came up with the thing. Just to say some more, I think what Charlotte also said, the expectations from expectation management is very important in these settings. I mean, we need to know what we're getting into, and the challenge providers will have to know that it's open innovation. It's a very broad concept, but they do like it. And for them, I would say it's very much about talent attraction also, and for the students, great opportunity to improve their 21st century skills, which is the main learning goals in some parts for this course, except also for the settings of a theory of entrepreneurship and innovation. But it's I think it's a very good example of what you can do, and you can give challenges to students, very open, and they will certainly excel in their doings because they really like this and they like the contact with the real life, of course.
Yeah, and what we have seen also is that when we play around with them a lot, we lower the barriers and lower the prestige. So they think it's funny, and I think that's also a good thing for the motivation.
And this shitty prototyping is also something very nice, actually. I do have we did this exercise when we created ECIU University as an alliance or network also, and there is actually a prototype physical of the university also, which kind of makes sense still. So
That was done in another course.
was done in the
In the Ingenious course, yeah.
but it's really nice, actually. So
Yeah. But it was shitty prototyped, definitely.
it was.
I will have a question building upon what Jan just mentioned about the expectation management regarding the businesses. I can imagine maybe there are some IP issues. I don't know, any ideas coming out, so working closely with businesses, to what extent they will be made public and to what aspects of it. But the other thing that I was thinking of, would there be any further value could be created within this type of projects when in the problem identification stage that you have not only businesses, but also maybe public organizations, maybe municipalities as well, and maybe citizens as well. I can imagine the complexities of such a setting, but these different societal groups come together and identify a challenge together, like not identify, maybe define the problem together. And these different groups are looking at the challenge from different perspectives, and maybe also for the businesses to consider all these different perspectives and also buying of what is coming out of these initiatives will be more impactful to more number of groups. And
we know that we create impact, at least in the Ingenious course, which is relative to this one, because there we have challenge providers and contracts, and we also give the challenge providers an opportunity to buy back what the students have developed. So there it's much more restricted when it comes to IP. In this case, it's more that we give the challenge provider the business plan, and they can then start to interact afterwards. But because I think it's very important here, since this is a course that gives credits, it's very important that actually the learning goes first, and then the challenge providers and the challenges, they create the context in which the learning takes place. So learning first, but in the Ingenious course, it's a little bit different. It also gives credits, but that one is given in collaboration with a support scheme, a daughter company of a support scheme named Almi. And it's a little bit other prerequisites. We have business coaches and facilitators in there. In this course, it's only the teachers. So we don't really have the capacity of being so formal that we actually can sell or the student can sell what they develop. So it's more that they develop something that hopefully actually can lead to something. But we know from this course, for example, we have startup companies in the incubator who actually were founded in this course. And that I think is very nice. It also once led to one guy, they come up with a really interesting idea, and it led to a master thesis and some lab works at the biology institution, because they come up with a very interesting type of sensor that they actually tested. So things happens, and I often hear several years after, when I bump into old students, that we took your course, we didn't really understand the use of it when we took it, but now when I worked a couple of years, I realized that the course that you really benefit from was yours. So it's quite often I can hear that, and so we know this is really good things for the students. irrespective of where they end up, not all of them ending up in own companies, but also when you end up in an industrial company, you need to be able to divide between a good idea and an idea that is not worth pursuing, because companies are economic organizations. They cannot pursue bad ideas, and they also need the skill of their employees to decide what is worth pursuing or not.
I think this is called entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's called entrepreneurship, and that's actually also part of the course, and that's one thing that they can think about when they do the literature review. They can study entrepreneurship, for example.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah,
it's really impressive impacts, and also with the previous presenter's case, I can only hope that this becomes mainstream, this methodology. With that, I'm wrapping up this conversation, and we will be moving on to our last presentation by Laura Jankauskaite Jurecine. Is this correct, Laura? Can you confirm?
Yes, it's correct.
Okay, Laura. We'll be hearing Laura with her presentation on challenge-based learning as a tool for understanding the urban and social environments. So quick background of Laura. She has a master's degree in architecture and applied sociology. She is a lecturer in architecture program at Kaunas University of Technology since 2007. She participates in different research projects as a researcher and organizes and coordinates various scientific as well as study events. You can tell, Charlotte, I introduced giving your background, but you already did it yourself. So just to mention that. But Laura, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Yes, I will try to share my screen. Just a second.
If you take it to the, yeah, perfect. We are able to see it.
Okay, so hello, good afternoon. So very nice to be here and to be like a last in this session, I think. And for sure, I will close, I think, this very nice topic about challenge-based learning with some examples, because in this all this presentation, we heard a lot about the methodology. So my presentation is by accident more focused to some examples of students like a project. So as you already introduced myself, so I will skip the slide. So I will go on to this one. I hope you can see well. So talking about architecture, for sure, usually we talk about different analysis, drawings, sketches, project models, and so on. So, but for sure, to understand the architecture, to understand that it is not only creation but of environments, so we should understand, as the Danish architect Jan Gehl mentioned, that first life, then spaces, then buildings, and the other way around never works. So for sure, I've noticed in my work that sometimes architecture students, they lack some kind of awareness to the social context or understanding of the behavior of the need of the public. So as the most focus is on urban spaces of the design and less on the life and in these spaces. So this is why I've started to use like challenge-based learning and master thesis. And I have 2 courses in Kaunas University of Technology. So like for architect students, so urban sociology and space sociology, it is both for master students, but one is for integrated architecture program, another one for 2 years master program. And talking about the idea, the main idea of using this method was to encourage students to observe, research and act in the social environment, and to be able to identify the urban and social characteristics of urban environment, to to be active participants, to have a process and to be in not only like a prototyping and but also acting. And later on, of course, using these skills in the design project as the architects do. So as it was already mentioned in the previous two presentations, so I'm also following the same like a structure, like engagement, maybe I a little bit some modification, adaptations, ideation, like a second stage and action. Students where they are doing like a topic analysis, territory analysis, they're searching for ideas, then do experiment and also presentation. So for sure, I would like to present a few examples how it is works as they have like a different topics and different like a result. And so one of it was like a challenge to Kaunas like a livable city. And during this challenge, students had to like analyze Kaunas neighborhoods and to find the place and the communities or other stakeholders who need some kind of touch to the environment. And so this is one example from one team, and it is quite nice. It is in small neighborhood of Kaunas called Žemieji Šančiai. They chose like a territory of, it is here, I'm not sure, do you see my mouse? But in the middle of the territory, and it is like a place of 19th century heritage object, and so they decided to research, analyze the territory, and to do some kind of input into that territory. And the main goal for their project was to attract daily visitors from bicycle and pedestrian path. This is like a river path along Nemunas River and from the main street here. So the idea was, it was as in my courses, I'm really focusing a lot in their like action. That further, let's say, stage, then they have to prototype and to do some kind of action, and so that means to test their prototypes, their ideas. So this is, I think it is very important part, especially for architects, to understand how it works, to understand the behavior of people and so on. So this is an example. So when they did some kind of signs of on the path next to the Nemunas River and from the main street, and it was like showing directions to this heritage site. And they did observation, they did experiment, and it was really interesting how it worked. Especially that later on, after discussion with the students, we find out that we had some kind of mistake, for example, choosing the day for the experiment and so on. But in the end, for sure, students were very happy to see that the idea and experiment works to have different signs. They attract people. They attract and to show the to direction to some kind of a little bit abandoned site, and gives a possibility to people to go there. So also another one example, this example, I also participated in this ACIU university. I had a course with the stakeholder from Kaunas municipality, and it was their challenge. And the challenge was development and supporting of informal networks of transformation of Kaunas towards a sustainable learning city. And we had also not only students from our university, but from other universities. It's a pity that it was a lockdown at that moment, and we had to do everything online. But it was also possibility for students from other universities to take part in this challenge. This is this challenge. It was quite interesting, and the example of one of the a project what the student proposed, that it was a multidisciplinary team, especially they were new in Kaunas, or some of them were not at all in Kaunas. So they decided to do some project going toward diversity, to show that Kaunas also is a diverse city, and to try to give a possibility for people who are in Kaunas but don't know, for example, different places of different cultures, or if you are not in Kaunas but searching, for example, from Netherlands, searching some kind of place in Kaunas where you can visit different culture, not only Lithuanian. So it was like an app, to create an app, and the most important part was to test it. So students, they designed this like a virtual map, and they tested this in Kaunas. So another example is also I kept this like a topic, Kaunas Learning City, let's say municipality example, and it was also a little bit released on lockdown in Kaunas. And students decided to work in the field, in the topic, to try to force, or let's say influence people to, or provoke people to think. For example, when they were waiting in the bus stop, especially that during the lockdown, people had to keep a distance, and they had to know what to do, just sit in the mobiles. So they designed some kind of information stand, and they did the research how people participating in such a project, and do they interested what is in environment or not? Do they add some kind of notes or not? And so it was, here you can see some results. It is not very thin here, maybe. So we had some stand, and they can, people could write some kind of note, or to leave the feedback and so on. So it is quite nice project. The last one, I think, project which I would like to share, it is also from the same topic. Students had to find a possibility to create people learning city. And this example was about learning while playing. So the idea was to create like a game in the heart of Kaunas, in the old town, like a game which we know, like a Ladders and Snakes, something like that. And they decided to do such a game on the bank of the river, next to the very nice church and very old bridge. And but this one is also from the lockdown period. And what was pity that we also understood that people not sometimes willing to act or react, and but in this game they added a lot of information, because they created web page, and if you were playing here, you could scan for present to find out more about bridges and so on. So really interesting project. But our conclusion was a little bit sad. Like the students said that people were curious more not about the game, but what they are doing when they were cleaning the ground of this game, because they had to clean everything. So this is
1 minute.
Yes, so this is last slide. So lesson learned for sure. What students are learning? So as of course in challenge-based learning, they work in the groups. They have a supervising, but they are going in different directions. So usually we have like a supervisor, or sometimes we do not have any students. They find themselves, for example. We do presentations in the end of the semester, so that means presenting somewhere in the library, in public space, or visiting museum, because the museum was like the stakeholder, let's say, for the project for the students. So what students learn, that empathy to the people and to the environment, because they understand that everything, not sometimes it is easy to implement what is drawn on the paper. They research and really find different solutions. What is very interesting, they have to accept failures in their decisions and to learn from them, and of course to be creative and work as a team. So this is some kind of presentation from our final project. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, for this very interesting presentation. This time we were looking at urban transformations and how challenge-based learning is kind of integrated in facilitating such transformations. So thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Laura? Maybe so far not, but maybe I could pose a question. Laura, so your students all come from a School of Architecture? Or-
Mostly yes. Yes, mostly yes, but sometimes in years like master we have like Erasmus students, so they also participate. As also I mentioned with the ACIU University, it was not from architecture at all.
Okay, so there could be different constellations sometimes, maybe majority architecture and sometimes not, but yeah, I was going to ask you if you see any value involving maybe students from humanities, social sciences, especially since you were talking about changing of citizen behavior, and we talk about urban transformations and the sustainability transformations especially. It's really important now to be able to work with citizens and understand their behaviors, and also how to nudge, right, certain behaviors. So I was curious to what extent you are able to integrate this perspective in your challenge-based learning, maybe via integrating so students from different faculties.
For sure, I would like to, but it's usually like our course is open for Erasmus students, so they can choose. And I really had students from different like specialization, like humanitarian sciences and so on. So it was really good influence, by the way, because then we have just the architect students. Sometimes they are a little bit like in like stopping in some kind of place. So influence from other sciences, so it is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and do you think also in your university there is some interest also from other departments taking up certain approaches, like place-based approaches, the groups going into the city and observing things, challenges in the space, and maybe experimenting certain solutions? And
for sure, I can't say for others because I think in our program it is we do, even with architects, we go and researching. We have like a different stakeholders and so on. So, but I think yes,
there's lots of potential there. Do you have any questions for Laura from our group?
Just a short comment. That watching Laura's presentations actually, I was very excited to see that architects and linguists are related. I was thinking about linguistic maps as very frequent activities for linguists going around the city, checking different signs, and I was excited for Laura's students that they got a really interesting task to do. It was a really interesting task and great presentation. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, so if we don't have any more questions, I would like to thank all of our presenters and all our community here who brought up interesting questions and made comments. Yes, I think from here, you could maybe move to our mini sessions because this is what's in our program. We have 2 tracks of mini sessions of about, I think, 40 minutes. One of them is on digital education escape rooms about social entrepreneurship with examples from University of Applied Sciences, Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences and University of Aveiro. And the other one is about our project Unlock and launching our MOOC and on designing and implementing educational escape rooms. Thank you very much again, everyone. Maybe we are finishing just in time that you could get something to drink before the next session. So I wish you a productive and yeah, fun at the same time remaining conference experience.
Good afternoon. I'm looking at the time and it seems it's the time to start another session. Yes, about the launching of Unlock Project MOOC, the official presentation. So welcome from Lithuania, from Kaunas University of Technology. So in this session, in this time slot, together with my colleague Maria Vežienė, we will introduce the project MOOC and then the activities that some of our colleagues have been doing after completion of this MOOC. So let me share my screen and I